This morning when you woke up, what was the very first thing you drank? Cold water from the fridge? Iced coffee? Maybe nothing at all? If you drank cold water, stop for just a moment. Because what I'm about to tell you could be the difference between living independently at 75 or spending 3 days a week hooked to a dialysis machine. Your kidneys are silent organs. They don't scream when they're injured. They don't send emergency signals. They don't warn you until it's almost too late. A person can lose up to 70% of kidney function without feeling sick. No dramatic collapse, no emergency room visit, just small changes that seem completely normal. More tired than usual, that's just aging, right? Ankles swollen by evening, probably standing too long. Waking up 3, 4, 5 times at night to pee? Well, that happens when you get older. But it doesn't have to. In North America, more than 37 million people are living with chronic kidney disease right now. Over 90% of them don't even know it. And every single year, hundreds of thousands of people hear the same devastating sentence from their doctors. If we had only caught this earlier, things could have been different. My name is Robert Chen. I'm 62 years old. I'm not a doctor. I'm a high school history teacher from Portland, Oregon. I'm married to Margaret for 38 years. We have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. 3 years ago, I sat in my nephrologist's office and heard words that changed my life forever. You have stage 4 chronic kidney disease. Your kidney function is at 28%. 28%. That meant 72% of my kidneys had already stopped working, and I barely felt anything wrong. How long do I have, I asked. 6 months to a year before we need to start preparing you for dialysis. I wasn't careless with my health. I exercised regularly. I ate vegetables. I took my blood pressure medication every single day like clockwork. I thought I was doing everything right. But my kidneys were dying anyway. And here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. The medical system in North America is designed to manage kidney failure, not prevent it. The dialysis industry is worth over $114 billion. There's an entire infrastructure built around managing people once their kidneys fail, not keeping them healthy in the first place. I'm not blaming doctors. They work within the system they have. But the system itself waits until you're in crisis before it acts. What if there was something different? Something so simple that it sounds almost ridiculous? Something your doctor never mentioned because there's no prescription for it? No insurance billing code? No pharmaceutical company promoting it? I found that something in my grandmother's handwritten recipe book. She lived to be 94. Never had kidney problems. Never needed dialysis. And what she wrote down seemed so absurdly simple that I almost didn't try it. But desperation makes you willing to try things you'd normally dismiss. So here's my question for you. What if the habit you think is healthy, drinking cold water first thing in the morning, is actually exhausting your kidneys when they're at their most vulnerable? The moment I realized I was dying wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. It was 3:47 in the morning. I woke up to pee for the 4th time that night. My wife Margaret was asleep beside me, and all I could think was, I'm becoming a burden. She hasn't had a full night's sleep in months because of me. I looked down at my legs in the bathroom light. My ankles were swollen puffy. I pressed my thumb into my shin and watched the dent stay there, just a crater in my flesh that wouldn't bounce back for 30 seconds. This wave of fear washed over me. This isn't normal aging. This is something else. The doctor's appointment came 3 days later. Dr. Morrison pulled up my blood work on her computer screen, and I watched her face change. That subtle shift doctors do when they're about to deliver bad news, but they're trying to keep their composure. Robert, your creatinine is 2.8. Your GFR is at 28%. That's stage 4 chronic kidney disease. The room started spinning. Stage 4? There are stages? What does that mean? I asked. She took off her glasses and said, "It means your kidneys are operating at less than 30% capacity. We need to start preparing you for renal replacement therapy." "You mean dialysis?" "Yes." "How long?" 6 months to a year. Maybe less if the decline continues at this rate. I drove home in complete fog. I didn't tell Margaret right away. I sat in my car in our driveway for 20 minutes, just staring at nothing. All I could think about was my grandfather. 5 years on dialysis, 3 times a week, 4 hours at a time. He lost his independence, lost his dignity, lost his will to live, really. He died in that dialysis chair. That night, I couldn't eat. I pushed the Valentine's dinner Margaret made around my plate. She knew something was wrong. Rob talked to me. So I told her, and she cried. We both did. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom. It makes you desperate. And desperation makes you willing to try things you'd normally dismiss as crazy. After that diagnosis, I became obsessed. Every evening after school, I'd come home and research. Medical journals, YouTube videos, forums full of kidney disease patients sharing their stories. And the more I learned, the more angry I became. Because here's what nobody tells you about kidney disease. By the time you have symptoms, it's almost too late. Your kidneys are incredible at compensating. They'll keep working at 50%, 40%, even 30% capacity without complaining. They're like that coworker who never calls in sick until one day they collapse at their desk. And modern American life is a kidney destroyer. That morning, coffee you love? Dehydrating your kidneys, forcing them to work harder with less fluid. Processed foods with insane sodium levels, overloading your filtration system 24 hours a day. NSAIDs like Advil that you pop for every ache and pain, literally scarring the delicate kidney tissue with each dose. High blood pressure? It's like running your kidneys at maximum RPM constantly until they burn out. Diabetes? Coating your kidney filters with sugar until nothing can get through. The medical system's answer? Manage your blood pressure. Watch your diet. Take these pills. And when your kidneys fail completely, we'll put you on dialysis. It felt like watching my house burn down while the fire department said, "Let's just let it burn, and we'll rebuild later." I refused to accept that. One night about 2 weeks after my diagnosis, I was cleaning out the hall closet. I found a box my mother gave me after my grandmother passed away. Her old recipe books, photo albums, letters. There was this leather-bound notebook, pages yellowed with age, filled with her handwriting. Most of it was family recipes. Her famous pot roast, Christmas cookies, Sunday pancakes. But then I found a section titled Grandmother's Remedies. And there in her spidery cursive was something that stopped me cold. For the kidneys, when they weaken raw honey in warm water, morning and night. 1 tablespoon, never in hot water. This saved my Henry when doctors said nothing more could be done. Trust in this. It works slow, but it works true. Henry? I didn't know any Henry in our family. Honey water? It seemed absurd, too simple, too old-fashioned. But I was desperate. Before you roll your eyes and click away thinking I've lost my mind, let me explain the science. Because I thought the exact same thing you're probably thinking right now. Honey? That's just sugar. Won't that make everything worse? I had the same reaction. And if someone had told me this 3 years ago, I would have laughed them out of the room. But here's what I discovered when I actually looked at the research. Honey is not table sugar. And understanding this difference could save your life. When you eat refined table sugar, it hits your bloodstream like an explosion. Your blood glucose spikes instantly. Your pancreas panics and dumps insulin. Your kidneys have to work overtime filtering out this massive glucose surge. It's metabolic chaos. But raw, unprocessed honey is completely different. Real honey contains over 180 different bioactive compounds, enzymes, antioxidants, minerals, vitamins, amino acids, polyphenols, flavonoids. The bees have already pre-digested the sugars through complex enzymatic processes. This means your body absorbs honey slowly and steadily. No spike, no crash, no panic. It's the difference between throwing gasoline on a fire versus adding a steady, controlled log. Now here's where it gets interesting for your kidneys. Your kidneys contain about 1 million nephrons each. These are microscopic filtering units. Each nephron has a glomerulus, which is basically a tiny ball of blood vessels that filters your blood 24 hours a day. These filters are incredibly delicate. Over time, they get damaged by something called oxidative stress. Think of it like rust forming on metal pipes. Free radicals, unstable molecules created by normal metabolism, pollution, stress, poor diet, inflammation attack your kidney cells constantly. This rust makes the filters leaky. Proteins that should stay in your blood start leaking into your urine. That's why your urine gets foamy, like soap bubbles. That's why you swell up with fluid. Your filters are literally falling apart at the molecular level. The antioxidants in honey, particularly the flavonoids and polyphenols, act like rust removers. They neutralize free radicals before they can damage your kidney cells. Let me give you the actual research, because this isn't folk medicine. This is documented science. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition found that honey reduced markers of kidney inflammation in animal models by up to 43%. Research from Malaysia showed that certain types of raw honey protected kidney tissue from damage caused by medications known to harm kidneys. A 2020 study from Egypt demonstrated that honey improved something called glomerular filtration rate. That's the key medical measure of how well your kidneys actually filter in rats with induced kidney damage. And this isn't just modern science. Traditional medicine systems have known this for thousands of years. Ancient Egyptian medical papyrus texts prescribed honey for kidney ailments. Traditional Chinese medicine uses honey specifically for kidney support. Ayurvedic medicine in India has detailed protocols using honey for renal health. Now I can hear the skeptics saying, but these are animal studies. Where are the large-scale human clinical trials? Fair question. And here's the brutally honest answer. There aren't many. Why? Because honey cannot be patented. No pharmaceutical company can make billions of dollars selling you something that costs $12 a jar at the local farmer's market. There's no profit incentive to fund massive clinical trials. But I found something else. Dozens of case reports from naturopathic doctors, anecdotal evidence from traditional healers across multiple cultures spanning thousands of years, and a growing body of biochemical research showing honey's anti-inflammatory and nephroprotective properties at the cellular level. Honey also does something else critical for failing kidneys. It provides clean energy without creating toxic metabolic waste. Your kidneys are the second hardest working organs in your body after your heart. They need enormous amounts of cellular energy to filter approximately 50 gallons of blood every single day. When you eat complex carbohydrates like bread or pasta or rice, the digestion process creates metabolic byproducts that your kidneys then have to filter out. It's like asking someone to clean a house while simultaneously dumping more trash on the floor. Honey's simple sugars, fructose and glucose, that have already been broken down by bee enzymes get absorbed almost directly into your bloodstream with minimal digestive waste. Your kidney cells can use this energy immediately without creating mountains of extra filtration work. It's clean fuel. I'm going to tell you about my 3 biggest mistakes because I don't want you to waste weeks like I did. These errors are so common and so destructive that if you make them, you'll think honey doesn't work, when really you just did it wrong. Mistake number 1. Using boiling hot water. The first morning I was excited. I boiled water in my kettle-spooned honey into my coffee mug and poured that boiling water right over it. It dissolved beautifully into this golden liquid. I drank it down, feeling proud that I was finally taking control of my health. What I didn't know? I had just destroyed almost everything beneficial in that honey. Here's what happens. Honey's enzymes and antioxidants are extremely heat-sensitive. At temperatures above 104 degrees Fahrenheit, they start to degrade. At 140 degrees Fahrenheit, major damage occurs. At 180 degrees Fahrenheit, they're mostly destroyed. Boiling water is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. I was literally turning medicine into sugar water. For 3 days, I did this. 3 days of wondering why I didn't feel any different. Then I found a research paper from the Journal of Food Science that tested honey at various temperatures. The results were devastating. Honey heated above 140 degrees Fahrenheit lost 90% of its enzyme activity and 70% of its antioxidant capacity. I felt like an idiot. The fix. Water must be warm, not hot. About 95 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Body temperature or slightly warmer. If you can hold your finger in the water comfortably for 10 seconds, it's the right temperature. If your water comes from a kettle, let it cool for 7 to 8 minutes before adding honey. This one change made all the difference. Mistake number 2, using too much too fast. After figuring out the temperature issue, I made another mistake. I thought if 1 tablespoon is good, then more must be better. I started using 2 tablespoons in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 before bed. 6 tablespoons daily, about 400 calories of pure sugar. Within 3 days, I felt terrible, jittery, anxious. My blood sugar was all over the place. The slight improvement I'd started seeing in my urine clarity disappeared. My urine was foamy again. I checked my blood pressure. 168/97. Way too high. I was so discouraged I almost quit entirely. Then I called Dr. Morrison and confessed what I was doing. To her credit, she didn't lecture me. She explained, Robert, even though honey is metabolically different from table sugar, it's still sugar. Your kidneys are already compromised. You're overwhelming them. She was right. In my desperation to fix myself quickly, I was actually making things worse. The fix. Less is more. 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon per dose maximum. No more than twice daily, 3 times at most. For most people, that's 15 to 30 grams of honey total per day. Quality over quantity. Your kidneys need gentle, sustained support, not a sugar tsunami. Mistake number 3. Buying fake honey. This was the worst mistake, and I didn't even know I was making it until week 3. I'd been buying a plastic bear-shaped bottle from my local Safeway. $7.99 for 24 ounces. Great price, right? It said 100% pure honey on the label. But I wasn't seeing the results I'd read about in those medical studies. My energy was slightly better, sure. My nighttime bathroom trips dropped from 5 to 4. But that was it. The swelling in my ankles wasn't improving. My urine was still foamy. Then I met a beekeeper named Tom at the Portland Farmers Market. I told him what I was doing, and he asked to see my honey bottle. I showed him a photo on my phone. He didn't laugh, but his face said everything. That's not real honey, friend. He explained something that shocked me. Up to 76% of honey sold in American supermarkets is either ultra-filtered, which removes all the pollen and beneficial enzymes, or adulterated with high fructose corn, syrup, rice syrup, or cane. Sugar. Some bottles labeled honey contain barely any actual honey at all. There's even something called honey laundering, where cheap contaminated honey from overseas gets illegally imported, relabeled, and sold as product of USA. The FDA has almost no testing requirements for honey. Companies can filter it, heat process it, dilute it, and still legally call it honey. Tom showed me his honey. Dark amber. Thick, crystallized at the bottom of the jar. Real honey crystallizes. It's supposed to. The supermarket stuff doesn't because they've filtered out all the pollen and heated it to keep it liquid for shelf appeal. He gave me a jar to try. It cost $18 for 12 ounces, more than 3 times what I'd been paying. But I was desperate. Within 48 hours of switching to real honey, I noticed a difference. My morning urine was noticeably clearer. The brain fog that had been plaguing me lifted. And by the end of the week, my nighttime bathroom trips dropped from 4 to 2. Real honey works. Fake honey is just expensive sugar. The fix. How do you identify real honey? Price test. If it's under $1 per ounce, be suspicious. Crystallization. Real honey crystallizes over time. You can reliquefy it gently. If it stays liquid forever, it's been ultra-processed. Water test. Put a spoonful in water. Real honey sinks and stays together. Fake honey dissolves quickly. Thumb test. Put a drop on your thumb. Real honey stays put. Fake honey spreads. Source. Buy directly from beekeepers at farmers markets, or look for labels that say raw, unfiltered, and list the specific region where it was harvested. These 3 mistakes cost me 3 weeks of progress. Don't make them. Once I fixed those 3 mistakes, I started seeing real progress. But it wasn't until I discovered the timing protocol that everything truly clicked into place. See, it's not just about taking honey. It's about when you take it. Your kidneys work on a 24-hour cycle just like the rest of your body. There are 3 specific windows during the day when honey has maximum impact on kidney function. Miss these windows, and you're wasting your effort. Golden window number 1. First thing in the morning within 15 minutes of waking. When you wake up, you're in a state of mild dehydration. You haven't had any fluids for 7 to 8 hours. Your blood is slightly thickened. Your kidneys are working overtime trying to filter this concentrated blood, and they're exhausted from working all night. This is when most people make a critical mistake. They drink ice-cold water from the fridge. Or they immediately have coffee, which is a diuretic that dehydrates you even more. Here's what I learned to do instead. Immediately upon waking, before anything else, drink 8 to 10 ounces of warm water, 95 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit, with 1 tablespoon of raw honey dissolved in it. Drink it slowly over 5 to 10 minutes. Don't chug it. Wait 20 minutes before eating breakfast or drinking coffee. What this does, the warm honey water rehydrates your blood, giving your kidneys clean fluid to work with. The honey provides immediate energy to kidney cells that have been working all night. The antioxidants start neutralizing the free radicals that accumulated during sleep. Within 1 week of doing this consistently, my morning urine changed from dark yellow and foamy to light yellow and clear. That was the first visible sign that something was working. Golden window number 2, mid-afternoon 2 to 4 p.m. This is when most Americans reach for coffee or a sugary snack. Your energy is crashing. You're tired. And here's what's happening inside your body. Your cortisol stress hormone is rising, your blood sugar is dropping, and your kidneys are struggling to maintain homeostasis. What most people don't realize. Afternoon coffee is one of the worst things you can do for your kidneys. Caffeine forces your kidneys to excrete more water and minerals than they should. It's like asking someone to bail water out of a sinking boat while simultaneously drilling more holes in the hull. Here's what I do instead. Around 2 to 3 p.m., I make what I call my kidney tea. 8 ounces of warm water, 1 teaspoon of honey, and a squeeze of fresh lemon juice. Sometimes I add a tiny pinch of cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon. I sip it over 15 minutes while taking a short break from work. What this does, the honey stabilizes your blood sugar without causing a spike. The lemon citric acid helps prevent kidney stones by making your urine more alkaline. The cinnamon, if you add it, improves circulation to your kidneys. After I replaced my afternoon coffee with honey tea, two things happened. My chronic afternoon fatigue disappeared, and the swelling in my ankles that used to appear by evening stopped happening. Golden window number 3, 1 hour before bed. This is the most counterintuitive one, and it's where most people push back. Robert, if I drink anything before bed, I'll be up all night peeing. I thought the same thing. But here's what I learned. You're probably already waking up multiple times to pee. Not because your bladder is full, but because your brain is running out of energy. Your brain needs enormous amounts of glucose to function even while you sleep. If your blood sugar drops too low during the night, your brain triggers a stress response. Cortisol gets released, which wakes you up. Once you're awake, you feel the urge to pee, but the pee isn't why you woke up. The low blood sugar is. Here's what I do. 1 hour before bed, I take 1 teaspoon, not a tablespoon, smaller dose of raw honey. I let it dissolve slowly in my mouth without water, or I mix it with just 2 to 3 ounces of warm water. That's it. No more fluids after that. What this does. The honey provides enough glucose to keep your brain satisfied through the night. Your brain doesn't trigger the stress-wake response. You sleep deeper, and when you sleep deeper, your body produces something called antidiuretic hormone, ADH, which tells your kidneys to produce less urine at night. This single change was life-altering for me. Within 2 weeks, my nighttime bathroom trips went from 4 per night to 1. Sometimes 0. Margaret and I both started sleeping through the night for the first time in over a year. The complete protocol. Morning 1 tablespoon honey in 8 to 10 ounces, warm water first thing. Afternoon 1 teaspoon honey in 8 ounces, warm water with lemon optional. Night 1 teaspoon honey, 1 hour before bed. Total daily honey, 2 to 3 tablespoons maximum. Temperature always warm, 95 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit, never hot. Quality raw, unfiltered local if possible. That's it. Nothing complicated, nothing expensive, just consistency and proper timing. Let me tell you what happened over the next 90 days. Week 1, my morning urine went from dark and foamy to lighter and clearer. Small change but visible. Week 2, my nighttime bathroom trips dropped from 4 to 5 per night to 2 to 3. I started sleeping in longer stretches. Week 4. The constant fatigue that had been dragging me down for months started lifting. I had energy in the afternoons again. The swelling in my ankles diminished noticeably. Week 8. I had a follow-up appointment with Dr. Morrison. She ordered blood work. When the results came back, she stared at her computer screen for a long moment before saying anything. Robert, your creatinine is down to 2.1. Your GFR is up to 38%. I didn't understand at first. Is that good? That's remarkable. Your kidney function improved by 10 percentage points. In 3 months. That doesn't happen. Kidney disease doesn't reverse. It only gets worse. She asked me what I'd been doing differently. I hesitated, then told her about the honey protocol. I expected her to dismiss it, maybe even lecture me. Instead, she surprised me. I can't officially endorse this because there aren't large-scale human trials. But whatever you're doing, keep doing it. We'll monitor you closely. Week 12. My nighttime bathroom trips were down to 0 to 1 per night. My energy levels were better than they'd been in 5 years. The brain fog was gone. I felt like myself again. 6 months later, another round of blood work. Creatinine 1.9. GFR 42%. I had moved from stage 4 kidney disease to stage 3A. I was no longer in pre-dialysis territory. Dr. Morrison used a word I never thought I'd hear. Stable. Today, nearly 3 years later, I'm still at stage 3A. My kidney function hasn't declined. It hasn't improved much more, but it hasn't gotten worse. And that, according to Dr. Morrison, is almost unheard of for someone who was at stage 4. I still take my blood pressure medication. I still watch my diet. I still see my nephrologist every 3 months. But I'm not on dialysis. I'm not waiting for a transplant. I'm living my life. Margaret and I just got back from hiking a section of the Pacific Crest Trail, something I thought I'd never be able to do. My grandchildren don't know I was sick. To them, I'm just Grandpa Rob who plays soccer with them in the backyard. But I need to give you 3 critical warnings before you try this yourself. Warning number 1. Who should not use honey? If you have advanced kidney disease stage 4 or 5, and your doctor has told you to restrict potassium, do not use honey without consulting your nephrologist first. Honey contains potassium, and if your kidneys can't filter it properly, it can build up in your blood and cause dangerous heart rhythms. If you're on dialysis, talk to your renal dietitian before adding honey to your diet. If you have uncontrolled diabetes, a 1C above 8, or blood sugar regularly above 200, you need to stabilize your blood sugar first before using honey. Even though honey is better than table sugar, it's still sugar. Work with your doctor. If you're allergic to bee stings or pollen, start with a tiny amount, 1/4 teaspoon, and watch for any reactions. Never give honey to infants under 12 months old. Raw honey can contain botulism spores that adult stomachs can handle, but infant digestive systems cannot. Warning number 2. This is not a replacement for medical care. I still see my doctor. I still take my prescribed medications. I still get regular blood work. Honey is part of my kidney support protocol. It's not the only thing I do. If you have kidney disease, you must work with your healthcare provider. Get regular monitoring. Follow their advice on blood pressure, diet, and medications. What I'm sharing is what worked for me. Your situation may be different. This is not medical advice. It's one person's experience. Warning number 3. Be patient. This isn't a magic pill. You won't feel dramatically different in 3 days. This is a slow, gentle process of supporting your kidneys over time. Some people see changes in a week, others take a month. I didn't see significant blood work improvements until month 3. If you're expecting instant results, you'll be disappointed and you'll quit too early. The bottom line: 3 years ago, I was told I had 6 months before dialysis. Today, I'm stable at stage 3A kidney disease, living a full life, sleeping through the night and playing with my grandchildren. Did honey alone do this? I don't know. Maybe I would have improved anyway. Maybe it was the combination of everything: medication, diet, stress reduction, and, yes, honey. Maybe it was just luck. But I know this. Something changed when I started that protocol. My numbers improved when they weren't supposed to. My symptoms reduced when the trajectory was supposed to be decline. And I've since connected with dozens of other people online who tried the same thing and saw similar results. Not everyone. Not 100%. But enough that it makes you wonder. If you're in the same position I was, scared, desperate, looking for anything that might help, I can only tell you what I did and what happened. The rest is up to you. 1 tablespoon of raw honey, warm water, 3 times a day. Consistency over months, not days. That's it. That's what gave me my life back. If this resonated with you, if you know someone who's struggling with kidney issues, share this with them. It might be the information that changes their trajectory. And if you decide to try this, I'd love to hear your story. Leave a comment below and let me know how it goes. Remember, always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine, especially if you have kidney disease. Take care of those kidneys. They're the only ones you've got. This is Robert Chen reminding you that sometimes the simplest answers are hiding in plain sight.
My name is Dr. Alan Morrison. I am a board-certified nephrologist. I have been practicing kidney medicine for over 25 years. I want to be very clear from the beginning. What you just heard is not a cure, it is not a miracle, and it is not a replacement for evidence-based medical care. But it is also not nonsense. In modern nephrology, we are trained to be cautious. Kidney disease is complex, it progresses differently in every patient. And historically, once kidney function declines, it rarely improves in a meaningful way. That is why Robert's case caught my attention. From a clinical standpoint, several things matter here. First, hydration timing. The kidneys are most vulnerable in the early morning when blood is concentrated and filtration pressure is high. Starting the day with warm fluids instead of cold shock or caffeine reduces renal stress. That alone is physiologically reasonable. Second, oxidative stress and inflammation. Chronic kidney disease is not just a plumbing problem, it is an inflammatory condition at the cellular level. There is growing evidence that antioxidant-rich foods can reduce inflammatory markers associated with nephron damage. Honey is not medication, but raw, unprocessed honey does contain measurable antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds. This is supported by laboratory and animal research. Third, energy metabolism. Kidney cells require constant energy. In patients with declining function, sudden blood sugar spikes and crashes place additional burden on renal filtration. A small controlled source of glucose may theoretically support cellular stability when used carefully and in moderation. What is important is context. Robert did not abandon medical care. His blood pressure was controlled, his labs were monitored, his intake was moderate, and changes were observed over time, not overnight. Would I prescribe honey as a treatment? No. That is not how medicine works. Would I tell a stable patient with early to moderate kidney disease that using a small amount of raw honey in warm water is dangerous? Also, no. The danger comes when people chase extremes. Too much sugar, too much supplementation, too many internet promises. Kidney patients must avoid that. The responsible takeaway is this: supportive habits matter, timing matters. Gentle, consistent interventions sometimes change trajectories, even when we do not fully understand every mechanism. If you are watching this and you have kidney disease, do 3 things. 1. Speak to your nephrologist before making changes. 2. Monitor your labs regularly. 3. Be patient and skeptical of anything that promises miracles. Kidney health is a long game. Sometimes progress looks like improvement. Sometimes progress looks like stability. Both are victories. This video is not about rejecting medicine. It is about expanding the conversation around prevention support and patient awareness. Take care of your kidneys early, respect them daily, and never assume silence means health.